when polar lights kind of stopped being a thing in around the middle part of last decade, I want to say around 2006 or so, it didn't take very long before somebody snapped up the license to make Star Trek kits, because that's a license that's going to be always just printing money. Even when Star Trek was not a thing, you know, in the middle part of last decade, after Enterprise went off the air, before the reboot movies started, even in the 70s when Star Trek kind of was out of the public eye, there were still kits being made. And so when Polar Lights picked up the license in the early part of last decade, I want to say around 2001 or so, was when the first couple kits that they started making came out. I think the first one was the NX-01 Enterprise, and then subsequently the TOS Enterprise, and then the NX 350th scale, and then the Refit 350th scale, and then a couple of other kits here and there. And then they kind of just stopped being a thing. But round two managed to come in and save the day, and they bought up the rights to use all of Polar Light's toolings, as well as eventually they got their hands on the rights to use AMT's toolings as well. But they didn't want to stop there. They started making their own from scratch. And the first, I want to say the first one that they did was a kind of a necessary kit that had to be done, that hadn't been done in that scale before. And I was really excited to see when it came out. I originally built one of these when it came out, I want to say in about 2009. That being the Refit Starship Enterprise, as it appeared in the motion picture and Wrath of Khan, prior to getting its ass handed to it by the Reliant. Now, having this kit and having the Reliant, which we're going to look at tomorrow or in the next couple of days, I kind of want to do them together and battle damage the hell out of them. Kind of want to do like a Battle of the Mutara Nebula, the climax of Wrath of Khan kind of thing. But I really liked building this kit back when it came out. I only did basic assembly because I had other projects going on and I didn't have the time to really focus on this thing, because it was going to be a very time-intensive project. Now, the way it's assembled, it goes together super easy and doesn't require a lot of paint, but it has a complete set of Aztecing decals, top to bottom. The entire thing is basically draped in water slide decals, and anyone who knows me knows how much I goddamn hate applying water slide decals. It is such a frustrating, tedious, tiresome procedure. But I have developed a little bit more patience than I used to have in my youth, even though we're talking less than 10 years ago. So when I get around to building this, I am definitely going to Aztec it, and then I'm going to beat the hell out of it. Same with the Reliant. But enough beating around the bush. Let's crack this thing open and take a look at what we got. Now, this is a slightly older round 2 kit. I believe this one was originally issued in around 2009 or 10. So instead of having a Photoshop photo of the finished model on a starfield, it's actually a painting. And it looks quite lovely. You can actually see there's kind of silhouettes of people in the windows, which is a nice touch. But, you know, not much else to say. It's the same image on all box sides. Box bottom, finally you actually get a look at the completed model, along with some historical information about the ship itself. Photos of actual assemble and painted model kit. Kit includes full set of Aztecing decals for superior detailing. Includes posable display stand with metal support rod. So, it's a fairly standard round 2 box. Hey look, it's that stand again. Complete with rod. And complete with the articulated ball joint segments. First up, we got our clear parts. So we got the deflector dish, impulse deck, I believe that's a torpedo launcher, the arboretum windows, warp grills, I believe those are the inboard warp grills, the crystal on the impulse deck. I believe they call it the impulse deflection crystal. And then I'm not sure what this is. Looks like it's hooked. I don't know where that goes. I know this ship like the back of my hand, as Scotty once said, before knocking himself unconscious on a beam. And I'm feeling about as foolish as he does, because I actually have no earthly idea where in the hell this piece goes. And I really feel like I should. But, yeah. I don't know when this one was actually molded. I know it was tooled in the late part of last decade, but I see no flash anywhere on the clear parts or on the runner, so that's a nice touch. That's great. Secondary hull parts. Like I said, I know this ship like the back of my hand, so I can very easily identify that this is the refit version and not the 1701A version, because the 1701A from Star Trek IV onwards had an extra little bit of grid line extending on this part of the ventral secondary hull. A little bit of trivia for you. But yeah, as memory serves, this thing fits together and just like locks tight. Like it snaps really, really solidly together. I think the nacelle pylons have to be inserted first to this part, and then they lock into this, which then snaps into the bottom, and the whole thing just locks together super tight. It's nice detailing, though. You can see there's recessed windows in there, so it wouldn't be all that difficult if you wanted to paint the windows some lit, some darkened. There's also this extra little piece right here. This is a plug for the display stand, which I believe this was the first one to use that display stand, and this is the only time I've ever seen it to have a plug anywhere in it. So that's kind of cool. Warp nacelles. I love these warp nacelles. I've always felt like the front ends of them looked kind of like an eagle. So, you know, you got the little grill segment here is kind of the eye, and then the beak. And it just looks really, really aggressive and really, really attractive. Yeah. It's similar to the bird of prey assembly in that the interior where it attaches together is there's a rim on here and on here, and they mate together. Like I said, I'm not sure if the right word is chamfered or not, but I want to say that I think it is. Somebody correct me, please. So yeah, if for anyone that wanted to light this, there's even a built-in light blocking bulkhead right here. So if anybody wanted to build this and light it, it would be very easy to do. So they wouldn't have to add their own light block components between. But overall, nice detail. Grid lines are nice. Overall panel lines are nice. Nacelle pylons. I love these nacelle pylons. It's no secret. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love the Refit Enterprise. Just, it's such a gorgeous design. My personal favorite incarnation of the Enterprise. In fact, my favorite Starfleet ship of all time. But these warp nacelles, hear that? Molded in, grooving. I'm grooving on those grooves, believe you me. But they got nice big contact points where the nacelles attach and where they attach to the secondary hull, so shouldn't be any risk of droop or anything coming apart. Now, there is lots of room inside where you could run wires, though you would have to carve a little channel in these bulkheads in order to actually run the wires. The connecting dorsal, aka the neck. It's a little bit low on panel line detail. Most every other version of the Enterprise has had a panel line for the little green channel. I believe that's where the warp engine runs. Basically, actually, where this gap is between where there's no windows is where the warp engine is supposed to run. And every other version of the Enterprise, this Enterprise, has always had that molded as a panel line. But otherwise, it looks great. Again, recessed windows. There's a nicely molded in docking port there. Good solid contact points, like clicky, look like clicky hooks for attaching and detaching the saucer. And again, the same chamfered notch on the connection point. So there's lots of real estate to apply glue and for light blocking for anyone that wanted to light this. Got some detail parts. I got your deflector housing here. Looks fantastic. Looks like everything is well represented. The little nodes around the perimeter are nicely molded. You got your planetary sensor on the bottom of the primary hull. Could use a little bit more detail, but just because of the way that it attaches, they couldn't have really hollowed out where the floodlights are placed. Then you've got the bridge dome itself. Backside, because it's one piece, they weren't able to include a docking port hatch where Spock so famously attached his shuttle at the midway point of the motion picture. But wouldn't be too difficult. Hell, you could just drill it out with a about a 1mm pin vise, and then just put some sheeting on the backside to close it off. Then you've got the what I always like to consider the eagle eyes of the warp nacelles, the little grill inserts, and I guess these would be the Bassard collectors. This being one of the only Starfleet designs that didn't have a cap on the end that glowed. This one instead having kind of just these grill-shaped inserts. Saucer section, which has the correct grid lines, though they look really thick and really deep for scale, but whatever. You got your phaser emplacements, you got your mounting point for the bridge dome, and that would be what that strange clear part I couldn't identify was. It's the officer's lounge that fits in right there. So, yes. I knew I'd be able to identify it eventually, I just feel bad that it took me that long. Saucer bottom, again, proper grid lines. There's hatch detail here and there. There's a couple of EVA hatches here and there. Nice detail. Molded in kind of detail spots where the thrusters would go. Appears to be no clear parts for running lights or anything, which, considering the TOS Enterprise had clear parts for those running lights, is kind of a disappointment, but whatever. By comparison to the Romulan Bird of Prey, this is a very mighty instruction booklet. That's just one page. So, yeah, starts with the saucer section, and then you've got your nacelle pylons, and then attachment of the pylons to the secondary hull, assembly of the secondary hull, assembly of the pylons, assembly of the neck, which it oddly calls the saucer pylon, so, deflector, final assembly, attachment to the base. And then on the back side you have your marking guide, which is quite extensive because, as I said, this does... I'm not sure if I've mentioned it so far in this video, but yes, it does include all of the Aztecing decals. So yes, that's quite a lot of them just on the saucer top, equally as many on the saucer bottom, equally as many all over the ship. Yeah, this thing is decal crazy, and yeah, I'm eager to actually take a look at the decal sheets themselves because, wow. So yeah, decal sheets. Not one, not two, but 3. Yeah, there's a lot that come with this ship. This one appears to have mostly nacelle pylons, saucer, the neck. I believe that is part of the landing bay. Saucer perimeter windows and sensor grid lines. Sides of the secondary hull, the strong back around the neck, around the deflector, more around the deflector, various other Aztecing lines for various places around, I believe, the nacelles. We've got more for the nacelles. These would be the thruster, detail inserts, parts for the ventral, secondary hull, bridge, dome, registry numbers, saucer, bottom, I would say. Oh, there's actual decals here for the phaser banks, as opposed to having to paint them, which is interesting. And finally, the last one up, purely saucer. Looks like almost exclusively saucer top. I'm thinking maybe these parts might be for the saucer bottom. These are for the saucer top, not really sure. And also impulse engines. So that's going to be a lot of decals, and yeah, anyone who's watched my channel for long enough knows how much I hate applying waterslide decals, so this is going to be a chore. I've got just a quick little addendum to add on to this review. I wasn't expecting to track these down, but I happened to find them in a local hobby shop and figured I'd pick them up. This is the supplemental decal set for the Refit 1/1000th scale Enterprise. So let's take a look. So this set pretty much is intended to supplement the decal set that comes with the ship, with the original model, which is intended to represent the ship as it appeared in the motion picture and in Star Trek II. And technically Star Trek III as well, if you were to subtract all the battle damage that it suffered. But the shooting model had to get repainted several times between Star Treks 4, 5, and 6, and every time the coloration ended up a little bit different. So, especially on the strong back area below the neck of the saucer. So we'll take a closer look at the different colorations and see what we got. So yeah, here you can see. I believe the green is as it's intended to appear in Undiscovered Country. I believe this is from Final Frontier, and this is how it appeared, freshly repainted and redecorated for the very end of the voyage home. In addition, you've got perimeter stripes. You've got same color options for the nacelle struts and the surround of the deflector. These look like they might be for phaser banks, these little blocks, and there's some additional striping to go around the B and C decks. More windows, and a bunch of registry options. I believe I counted there's 12 different optional ship names. The Intrepid, the Republic, the Potemkin, the Excalibur, Yorktown, Farragut, Lexington, Constitution, Constellation, Defiant, Hood, and Exeter. All of those are canonical names of Starfleet ships from the original series, though quite a lot of these were destroyed in the course of that series. The Constellation was famously destroyed by the Planet Killer. I believe the Excalibur was destroyed in a war game exercise in the episode The Ultimate Computer. A handful more were destroyed in other episodes. But yeah, the printing on this looks fantastic. The detail, especially on the strong back area, is very slightly different from each version to the next. The overall shapes are largely the same, but there's very slight variations, and not just in color. So you've got your kind of baby blue, you've got your sky blue, and then you've got your kind of aqua green. But each one has very slightly different details here and there. It's very interesting. So,
I'm going to have to do my research to figure out which version of these I'm going to need to use, if at all, because I'm not sure if I would have to use the kit supplied version of these for the Wrath of Khan Enterprise. Regardless, it's a neat set to have, and it'll be good to have some supplemental. Oh wait, hang on. There's lit windows here. They're almost invisible because they're white on white, but you can make out in the glare. There's lit windows here and there, so I might have to cannibalize some of these. You know, do some on the Enterprise lit, some of these on the Reliant lit, and see how that works out. Because yeah, really kind of bummed that the Reliant has no option for lit windows without painting or lighting. But yeah, it's a good looking set. And curiously, it comes with no instruction sheet. It just has printed on the back of the package just the additional little details. Not a lot going on. Mostly just replace this, replace that. Because there's not really so much information needed, because the original kit supplied so many decals of its own. But yeah. On the back, yeah, you can see USS Constellation, Republic, Intrepid, Farragut, Potemkin, Intrepid, Excalibur, Exeter, Constitution, Enterprise, Hood, Lexington, Yorktown, and Defiant. So that's 13 ships, including the kit-supplied Enterprise. So, yeah, that's a lot of different ship options. You can have yourself a whole fleet with one decal sheet and, 12 examples of the model.
So yeah, that's pretty much the kit that I remember it being. It's one of those kits that the fit and detail was so nice that you didn't even... Like, it says it's a snap fit kit, but most snap fit kits, especially of this kind of type of engineering, still need a little bit of glue for real stability. But as I remember this thing, like literally, it didn't require anything. It required zero glue whatsoever, and it would hold together like super solid. It was a really tight-fitting, well-engineered kit, and I'm really happy to see to get my hands on it again. So, like I said in the intro, I'm very eager to tackle this thing and the Reliant together, do them up to the same standard, and then battle damage them. Because I think that would look really great. Maybe have like a backdrop, an airbrushed backdrop of the Mutara Nebula or something. That would look really neat. So, that's a long-term, quite a ways down the line kind of a project, but, it's kind of dwelling back here in the back of my head, and I'm kind of eager to tackle it. So, we'll see. But that's where I'm going to finish off with this one for now, and next up, we're going to take a look at the Reliant, and hopefully by the time I get that shot, I will actually have the goddamn ass-kicking decals that I ordered to show off at the same time. If I don't, then I'm going to be very cross at Canada Post. Anyway, thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.